last left off, we got to the Forest of Myth and checking out the dream everybody's having.
What do you mean?
Contagious words. Those who dream.
Those who dream?
Hold a moment. There is a strange new sensation in my mind.
Vice's voice rose in a quizzical way.
It is not quizzical.
What's going on?
The villager's body shuddered as he slowly opened his eyes.
Perhaps we should start by asking this man.
Who are you?
We heard something happened to this village, so we came to see if we could help.
The mayor stared at Nier and Weiss.
If you can speak to me, I must have caught you in my dream.
In your dream?
The mayor explained. In the past weeks, a mysterious disease called the Death Dream had spread across the Forest of Myth. Those who caught it were cursed to fall asleep and live forever within the world of their own dreams. The village mayor had determined the Death Dream was spread from person to person by spoken words. Before he could learn more, the disease took him as well. Weiss stared at the mayor, his mouth twitching slightly.
Now see here,
he said.
Are you saying that we have been absorbed into your dream?
Well, yes,
said the mayor.
I think you have.
In other words,
said Nier.
We've caught the Death Dream?
Before the mayor could confirm Nier's suspicion, Weiss exploded with rage.
Ridiculous, preposterous, completely unfathomable on every conceivable level. I don't even recall falling asleep.
That's just how the Death Dream works.
So polite, the mayor was clearly trying to brush aside the book's remarks.
My remarks are not to be brushed aside, fool.
The mayor twisted his mouth into an embarrassed grimace and quickly changed the subject to who Nier had seen and what they had discussed since coming to the village.
Something there must have caused you to enter my dream,
said the mayor.
A certain conversation, a specific word, something.
Nier and Weiss racked their brains, but could find no easy solution. There were simply too many words to consider, too much random chatter, too many meaningless conversations.
Grimoire Weiss does not engage in meaningless conversations.
The mere suggestion that Weiss chose his words carelessly seemed to sting his pride.
It does not seem to sting my pride, you bloated gasbag of a narrator. It has demolished it utterly.
Irritated, Weiss looked skyward as if searching for answers in the heavens.
I was doing no such thing. Just leave me alone already.
The anger created by his harsh words bled over to Nier like a contagion. Wait, said Nier suddenly. Did someone just say contagion? Yes, I believe so. What of it? Well, that villager told us to watch out for contagious words, right? The mayor leaned forward with renewed interest, pushing a startled Weiss aside in the process. You must have said something, right? Asked the mayor. Some specific combination of words? What was it? It was about dreaming or something that dreams or... Well, what the hell was it? A sheep? Cried Weiss suddenly, blurting out the first thing that popped into his head. The others stared at him for a moment before slowly shaking their heads. After a few more minutes of thought, Nier's face suddenly lit up. I remember, he said. Those who dream. That's what he said. I'm sure of it. At this, the mayor produced a thick sheaf of papers from his pockets. He flipped through them a few times before finally nodding his approval at Nier. "That sounds right," he said as a stray sheet of paper fluttered to the ground. "My notes also mentioned something about that. I bet it was the last thing you heard before you fell asleep." The mayor shook his head, his worn pencil stub tracing lines across a lone piece of paper. "For the last month, I've done nothing but study the disease we called the death dream," he said. "I mean, I'm the mayor, right? It's my job to protect people from whatever comes along, but I never expected a couple of outsiders to start entering people's dreams." The mayor paused, a grimace crossing his face. "I should probably be taking notes or something." Weiss immediately fired back. "I applaud the force of will it takes to research a disease in your dreams," he said, "but perhaps we should bend your efforts to escaping this place instead of trying to understand it." The mayor's hand tightened around his pencil, snapping off the tip. "I've tried to escape. From the very moment I've realized I was locked inside my own dream, I've been looking for a way out, but I don't think it exists. I mean, this is my dream, right? If there was an exit, I know about it." He paused for a moment, his unfocused eyes staring at nothing. "My village was beautiful," he said to no one in particular, "and it was filled with the most wonderful people you could ever hope to meet. But once this disease took hold, things changed. It's like someone took a sponge and soaked all the color out of our lives. I just want us to be whole again. I want us to be free. And I won't stop trying until it happens." Nier nodded in agreement. "Huh? Wait a second? I didn't nod." "Look, if we can be of any help," said Nier, "just ask." "Now hold on, I did not just say that." "Silence," cried Weiss. Grimoire looked from Nier to the mayor and back again, his face filling with confidence. Grimoire Weiss's face is always confident, thank you very much. "Now see here, Mayor. You told us nothing can exist in this dream without your knowing of it. But yet you seemed surprised to see us when we first arrived, yes?" The mayor slowly raised his hand, realization dawning on his face. "Oh my god," he said, "you're right. You're right. I had no idea you were coming." "The human imagination is a limitless engine," said Weiss, "and dreams are the fuel. If you can imagine an exit, then it must be so. With your permission, shall we search it out?" "Thank you," said the mayor. "I don't know how I can repay you." "Payment is not required. We are as eager as you to be done with this place." The mayor suddenly felt as if he could breathe again. He'd almost forgotten what it was like. "Good luck, you two," he called to the departing forms of Nier and Weiss. "We're all counting on you." As Nier slowly faded into the misty forest, the mayor was struck with a sense of deja vu. "I saw this man once before," he thought. "But where?" Nier's mood darkened as he trudged through the forest. Hours earlier, when the beauty of the place was still a new thing, he had been confident they could get in, find the exit, and be home in no time for dinner. But the deeper they went, the more the forest closed in around them. The mist made it difficult to see more than a foot in any direction, and moss-covered rocks seemed determined to twist his ankle. More than once he'd been forced to steady himself on the rough bark of a tree, and his hands now left small trails of blood on everything he touched. Additionally, Weiss was proving to be a spectacularly poor traveling companion. Unhindered by either terrain or physical effort, he spent most of his time urging Nier to pick up the pace and grumbling about their slow progress. Finally, after Weiss muttered something about legless turtles being more inept at navigating the environment, Nier snapped. "Okay, Weiss, cram it for a second, would ya? You don't have to walk." Nier leaned against a tree and tried to stretch the knots from his back. "How can the stupid forest be so big?" he muttered to himself. The moment the words tumbled from his mouth, a cacophony of insects sprang to life. Every imaginable form of buzz, click, and hiss roared at the volume that rattled his teeth. Nier slapped his hands over his ears and screamed to be heard. "Weiss, what's going on?" Nier could see Weiss's mouth moving, but he might as well have been shouting in a tornado. The insects screamed, the forest howled, and then, just as Nier's ears seemed ready to tear from his head and running for cover, the sound diminished. Hesitantly, he removed the hand from his left ear and listened to the creatures of the woods. Zree, zree, zree. Shrak, shrak, shrak. Woo woo wooma, woo woo wooma. The insect symphony dimmed another decibel. Nier began to detect patterns in the sound. This isn't random, he thought. It's not just white noise. It's something else. The insects weren't calling out. They were asking a question. 1 with its lacking, 2 with its ideal, 3 with its dangers. Dangerous? What is it? By my pages, is this a riddle? I guess so. I mean, it feels sort of forced, but maybe it's the key to getting out of this place. Then I leave it to you to answer. 1 with its lacking, 2 with its ideal, 3 with its dangerous. What is it? The answer is a secret. The answer is a seesaw. How should I know? Oh man, Sasha, thank you for the raid. Zara's pretty focused reading there. How are you doing? How should I know? Ice mouth flew open, but before he could say anything, the world suddenly shifted. Rain, rain, wah, rain, rain, wah. Shik, shik, ki, shik, shik, ki. When Nier came to, he was once again surrounded by the sounds of insects. The cries of the insects were created words. Words he had heard somewhere before. 1 with its lacking, 2 with its ideal, 3 with its dangerous. What is it? By my pages, is this a riddle? I guess so. I mean, it feels sort of forced, but maybe it's the key to getting out of this place. And I leave it to you to answer. It's a secret. Inwardly furious that Vice left the task to him, Nier sighed and gave only the answer that made sense. It's a secret. Right? The sound of the insect stopped as suddenly as it began. The forest undergrowth parted from before Nier, like a rippling wave opening a new path. The forest arthropods, and making a road for us, said Vice with glee. Pleased at passing the test, Nier moved on with new intensity. The path offered his body relief from the undergrowth, but gave even greater cheer to his mind. As long as they were on a path, their journey had a purpose. Guess the forest has accepted us, huh? Said Nier after a bit. Vice spun around to face his companion. Do not mistake the will of this forest for some happy pet you can suddenly befriend. We have no idea where this path leads. As Vice finished speaking, the pair turned a corner and found themselves facing a clear forest spring. Smiling, Nier picked up a small rock and sent it skipping across the surface of the water. Good heavens, said Vice. His surprise was understandable. Each time the rock struck the surface of the water, a musical note rang out. When the rock finally stopped moving and sank to the bottom of the spring, the ripples it left behind came together to form words. I entered through the window but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? Absurdly easy, barked Vice. Now answer it. Nier grit his teeth and tried not to reach out and strangle his companion. He's right after all. This one is pretty easy. I enter through the window but break no glass. When night falls, I vanish. What am I? I'm assuming it's light. Sunlight. A plume of water suddenly burst from the spring. Sunlight filtered through the trees and reflected off the plume, creating a shimmering rainbow that spanned the entire horizon. In all my years, said Vice softly, I've never seen such a sight. Perhaps I've misunderstood the intentions of this place. Hey, look, cried Nier, awaking Vice from his daze. There's a house or something over there. Glancing in the direction of his friend's extended hand, Vice saw a small cottage nestled among the trees. That's weird, isn't it, Vice? I mean, who would build a house all the way out here? Nier walked over and pounded on the door. After a minute of solid banging, the door cracked open, and a small man peered out. His body was cloaked from neck to toe in a large black cape, while his face was obscured by mist. Began Nier, but before he could get any further, the cloaked man held up a hand and began speaking. I have 4 legs in the morning, and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? I feel like that's a person. You start out crawling, you walk at middle age, and in the night you end with a cane. Nier tried to ask the cloaked man who he was and what he was doing there, but he simply repeated the question. If we wish to engage this man in conversation, said Weiss, it seems we must answer his riddle. Yeah, I suppose, said Nier. Well, at least it's an easy one. I have 4 legs in the morning and 2 at noon, but end the night with 3. What am I? A man. The mist dissolved from the cloaked figure as soon as he spoke a single word. Correct. With that, the man flung his garment aside, revealing his true identity. You're the mayor, cried Nier. The small man slowly shook his head. I am not the mayor you know. Now listen to my words. Long ago, I saw a version of you that was not yourself. Sorry? What's that mean? It will make sense in time. At present, I simply congratulate you on cracking the seal of the death dream. Now you must go to the person at the forest entrance. With that, the man turned on his heel and slammed the door behind him. As Nier watched, mist seeped up from the ground and enveloped the cottage, erasing it from existence. When Nier and Weiss returned to the forest entrance, they found the mayor leaning against a tree. As soon as he caught sight of the duo, he sprang to his feet and scrambled over to them. Good gravy, he cried, you made it. I actually made it back. His left hand grasped Nier and pumped it so fiercely it threatened to dislodge from the socket, while his right seized Weiss by the cover and swung him through the air. God, by the heavens, stop shaking me, fool. We have not even told you if we were successful or not. The mayor smiled broadly and shook his head. I'm just happy you're alive. I didn't think I'd ever see you again. Nier withdrew himself from the mayor's eager handshake with a slight smile. We broke the death dream's seal, he said. At least I think we did. The mayor's face beamed as Nier filled him in on the details. When the tale was done, the 3 of them lay down on the forest ground and fell asleep. Nier cocked his head. Okay, hang on a second, this is crazy. Why would we just lay down and go to sleep? Cease your endless prattle and go to sleep, fool. Fighting against the rules of this place is futility itself. Nier and the mayor obediently reclined atop the grassy earth. Have you forgotten, continued Weiss? It is words that control the death dream. Words that allow us to move from place to place. No matter how unnatural they seem, the words are absolute. Therefore, if the words tell us to sleep, then sleep we shall. And once we do, the story will continue. With that, the trio found their eyes growing heavy, their breathing slowing. This is the first time, began the mayor. The first time that I felt tired since I was imprisoned here. His words were cut off by a loud, long yawn, and I remember nothing more. Might have slept for an hour or a year. When they awoke, things had slightly more real quality to them. The mist felt thicker, the leaves greener. It was clear that they had wakened from their dream. Nier shook the mayor's shoulder gently. Good news, he said. I think we made it. Oh wow, said the mayor in an odd voice. We did. I'm back. He blinked once and then again, as if not quite believing the sight before him. You two have no idea how much this means. The death dream was spreading through our village and I wanted to... Well, I thought I could figure out how to stop it, but I guess that wasn't the case. I must have caught the disease and become trapped in my own dream. The mayor started to stand and then collapsed back to the earth. He stared at his legs as if trying to remember how they worked, then glanced at Nier and shrugged. Without a word, the young man reached down and pulled the mayor to his feet. Real life may take some getting used to, said the mayor, as a wry smile across his lips. You shall relearn in short order, I am sure, said Weiss. For now, you should return to your home and rest. No, said the mayor, swaying on unsteady feet. No, I can't. Some of the villagers are still trapped in the death dream. I have to save them. The mayor slowly made his way to the divine tree in the center of the village, then bowed his head and prayed silently. This is a holy tree, he explained. When the prayer was finished, it's the guardian of our village history and memories. Superstition will only make our mission harder, muttered Weiss. We should not put faith in the gods. The mayor shook his head. Not the gods, the words. Legend says that our tree is the home to a powerful magic known as the sealed verse. Nier and Weiss could not contain their surprise. It seemed a goal had been found in the most unexpected places. I say, muttered Weiss, this is certainly a stroke of luck. As the 3 of them said their goodbyes, Nier mentioned the strange man who had given them the 3rd riddle and the mysterious words he had left them with. I once saw a version of you that was not yourself, muttered the mayor. What in the world does that mean? Lost in thought, he stared into space for a long moment. You know, he said softly, this is going to sound odd, but I had a feeling I'd seen you before too. Nier tried to keep a straight face and failed, but the mayor didn't seem to notice. Deja vu, right? Anyway, I figure it's just some kind of illusion created by the death dream. It probably doesn't mean anything. Nier gave the mayor a nod and smile. A smile, but inwardly his thoughts were racing. There's something wrong about the mayor and his words. And what exactly is going on here? That riddle would prove to be the most difficult one of all.
Oh, thank you so much. Now I can finally return to a normal life.
Sorry, that was a long paragraph. Good sleepy, it's late here. And hello, the Master Rogue and the Marksman 13. Hope you guys weren't bored of that long and drawn out monologue.
This is one of the most bizarre diseases I have ever encountered.
I know. That's why we have to help the other villagers, no matter what.
Obtained a sealed verse, obtained dark execution magic. Summon magical spikes from the ground to impale enemies. Charge to increase the number of spikes. Sounds pretty cool.
For a sealed verse, that didn't take much effort.
Yes, all a touch too easy if you ask me. It's almost as if someone was guiding us to this village.
Don't overthink advice.
Is that really all that's here? Oh, okay, no, there's a quest there. And that was a lot of reading. That was the first reading that I've had to do the entire game. Really. Outside of the town's dialogue.
This person must be dreaming too.
It would appear that way, yes.
Oh man, there's no way. That would suck. Not that I mind reading, but I just know it's not that impressive to watch and listen to me speak for that long.
And another victim. This work certainly is trying.
Alright, let's just see if I have to read it.
I figured a book like you would be into all this word stuff, Vice.
Even I have my exceptions. Now let's be off.
Lord. Should have known. Okay, I'm gonna read this a little bit faster. A colony of massive sculptures was visible in the distance, their tall forms scraping against the sky. Vice and Nier had never seen such a sight, and their eyes widened as they tried to take it in.
Those buildings must be huge if we can see them from this far away. What do you think, Vice?
As Vice considered his answer, the sun beat down on them with renewed ferocity.
Perhaps they are some manner of mirage.
He said. Under this heat, a mirage or two would hardly be an unexpected sight. Nier nodded and wiped the sweat off his brow, leaving a trail of sand in his place. He thought he'd never be thirsty. The ancient road of which they walked was black and cracked with age. Here and there, the thin wisp of grass pushed up through the rocky surface, as if defying those who had laid the material down over their home. The heat reflecting from the road made Nier lightheaded. His feet hurting, he crouched down to rest. I don't know how much longer I can do this. Is someone playing a joke on us or what? The complaining had already begun. Vice tried not to let his eyes roll too much. A joke, he said? No, no joke. This road leads to the city of art. Perhaps the path itself is simply some manner of grand artistic work. You don't sound very sure of yourself there. Perhaps not, but thinking of it in this way might make it easier for you to bear. Nier glanced at Vice's grinning face, shook his head, and resumed walking. As time passed, Nier's feet grew more painful and his throat drier than he ever thought possible. He tried not to look further than the next step ahead, but because the bright sunlight made him hesitant to trust his own senses. We're definitely getting close, said Vice in an effort to cheer his companion. Yes, this much is certain. Encouraged, Nier lifted his gaze. Suddenly he stopped walking, choosing to stand in the middle of the road with his mouth and eyes wide open, his finger pointing in the distance. Water, he cried, it's water. Water, said Vice. Preposterous, I don't see any water. Over there, just ahead of us, look, the sun is reflecting off of it. Without waiting for a response, Nier sprang to life and bounded towards the site. What in the... There was no water, there was nothing but sand in every direction. Nier closed his eyes and sighed as Weiss floated up behind him and chuckled softly. I believe this is known as mirage, she said. Many a desert traveler has spoken of such things. Nier shook his head, bewildered. Suddenly he pointed off in the distance, eyes wide once more. Wait, there it is, I just missed it. Look, it's right there. Nier sprinted off again, leaving Weiss with no choice but to follow. After a few minutes of running, Nier came to a halt. I could have sworn this was right around here. Confused, he put his hands up to his eyes and rubbed them vigorously. As soon as he stopped, he noticed a blue shimmering pool of clear water just over the next rise. With a shout, he bounded off in search of it. The chase continued for nearly an hour until exasperated, Vice finally floated up to Nier and struck him in the face with his cover. Enough, you blithering idiot, stop this at once. There is no water here. Nier's face clouded. There isn't? There is not, and perhaps next time you will listen to me when I tell you as much. Vice paused for a moment, then continued speaking in a slightly kinder tone. However, I suppose this mad chase was not altogether wasted. It seems we have arrived at the City of Art. Nier looked up. Stretched out before him was a row of impossibly tall sculptures. Their journey was at an end. They're huge, cried Nier, completely forgetting the heat and pain of the past few hours. I've never seen anything so big. Each sculpture was formed from roughly the same shape, a tall rectangle stretched up towards the sky, but that's where the similarities ended. Most were covered with panes of glass that reflect the light in 1,000 directions, while others seemed to be nothing but frames of steel. Some had tall spires on their tops, while others possessed triangle caps. What kind of city is this, said Nier? Where are the people? Where are the houses? Perhaps the land is intended exclusively for artistic use. The debate continued as they made their way through the city. Miracles of artistry were everywhere. Great iron crates with wheels that sat silently on steel rails. Beautifully carved works with lights of red, amber, and green dangled over every street. As they moved away, the massive sculptures, they found a great array of smaller ones. Some were covered in glass, or brick, but many were composed of materials they had never seen or encountered. The sheer variety of colors and styles was staggering. Unable to find a theme or purpose to the abstract works around them, Nier and Vice suddenly fell silent. On the outskirts of the city, they discovered 3 sculptures in the shape of humans. Nier uttered a sigh of relief as he approached them. Finally, I was getting tired of modern art. 3 statues were indistinguishable except for a single word chiseled into the right arms, one alpha, one red beta, and the final red gamma. As Nier moved to touch the nearest statue, a bird flew from the top of one of the sculptures. Alighting the statue's shoulder, it emitted a brief, beautiful song that took the form of words. Only one form is real, the others are false. The real form will always speak the truth. The false one will only speak lies. With that, the bird departed. As if on cue, the 3 statues shuddered to life, acquiring color and form as they began to breathe. Hey, look at that, said Nier. They're alive. The triplets bowed low before Nier. Please, said Alpha, you have to get me out of this nightmare. I am real. Stop lying, said Beta. He turned to Nier and threw his hands in the air. Alpha's a fake. I'm the real one. What a load of crap, said Gamma. Beta's fake, and everyone knows I'm the only real one around here. Their response, please, given. The 3 statues returned to their frozen state as silence once again enveloped the city. When you consider all the statements, only one of them could be the real thing, said Vice. Nier furrowed his eyebrows and considered his answer. The real form will always speak the truth, the false one will only speak lies. I wish they would tell you what they said, but they're all gonna say that they're fake. Wonder what happens if you say I don't have a clue. I don't have a clue. Nier took a long look at the statues and tried to clear his mind. On the okay. Let's see what they said again. Please, you have to get me out of this nightmare. I am real. Stop lying, said Beta. He turned to Nier and threw his hands in the air. Alpha's a fake. You know, I'm the real one. What a load of crap. Beta is fake. Everyone knows I'm the only real one around here. I'm gonna go with Alpha. Or actually, maybe it's Beta. The real one is Alpha. The eyes of the statue shone with an eerie light. The light grew stronger and stronger until Nier and Vice were forced to turn away.
Yeah.
We'd best act more. And another
Oh my lord.
even
Yeah, I'm just gonna skip all that. It was probably beta. Question answer is, if it is beta, though Nier's voice betrayed a notable lack of confidence, he was relieved to see Vice was nodding at him. If Alpha were telling the truth, began Vice, in the dry tone of a lecturer, Beta and Gamma would be fakes, but in that case, Gamma's claim that Beta is fake would be the truth. Even though Gamma is a liar, therefore the theory crumbles. Now let's just presume that Gamma spoke the truth. That makes Alpha and Beta liars in this situation. However, Beta is calling Alpha a liar, which would leave us with two scientists telling the truth. Finally, let us assume that Beta is telling the truth. If so, Alpha and Gamma's lies would make sense, therefore Beta is real. As Vice finished his explanation, Alpha and Gamma crumbled effortlessly into dust while Beta sprang to life once more. Congratulations, villager, said Vice in a cheerful voice. The time to awaken has arrived. Thank you for saving me, cried the villager. He dropped to his knees and bowed his head as low as he could go before an uncomfortable Nier pulled him to his feet. Why did you have a dream like this? Asked Vice. Have you been to this city before? The villager slowly looked around at the bizarre objects and sculptures that dotted the landscape, then shook his head. I don't think so. I mean, it's impossible, right? There's no way I could have ever been to a place like this, but at the same time, I feel like I've seen it before. Deja vu, muttered Nier, just like the mayor. The vague sense of unease that struck Nier during the mayor's dream spread once more through his mind.
That was rough.
I am positive I have seen that place before.
Okay, that's enough. Don't need you getting all weird on me too.
Probably the, like the prologue. That area.
I thought I was a goner there. What a strange dream. It almost felt familiar somehow.
Alright. So sorry I have to read again.
This person must be dreaming too.
It would appear that way, yes.
Can't say I'm very excited to go back there. That dream world sort of creeps me out.
Perhaps you should spend less time complaining and more time getting on with the mission.
Yeah.
How true for me. I breathe air scented with death and resist the urge to laugh, for I know it will sound like the words of a madman. How long have I been in this fresh hell? My box, my prison, is tucked beneath the stairway in the long unused catacombs of some infinite castle. Outside I hear the sounds of a funeral dirge that plays without end. Light has no place here. When is a forgotten friend? I pray for death to come, but he forsakes me. Time passes, and eternity slips by in a single tick of a clock. Someone knocks on my prison. Anyone there? I hear an unfamiliar voice say. My savior. I claw at the door of my jail, embedding thick splinters under my ragged nails. I scream for help, I laugh, I sob. Surely this is a product of my addled mind. Surely it cannot be true. Help me, I cry, for the love of all gods, help me. And possibly I hear the sound of a lock being torn out and falling to the floor. As the door slowly creaks open, I have just enough time to see a silvered-haired boy floating book before the light pours inside. My eyes, accustomed to blackness, explode with pain. I am forced to turn away. Who are you? I ask, shaking hands, covering my face. How have you come to this place? I'm Grimoire Weiss, and this is Nier. Long have we been searching for you. Now come, stand. We shall awaken from this nightmare together. The one known as Nier extends his hand and pulls me from the cell. Though my eyes are slow to adjust to freedom, my ears are keen as ever, and they recognize the staccato sound of heavy rain. I never thought to hear that again, I whisper. Would that this were not such a terrible storm, said Grimoire Weiss. Look at your feet. I force my eyes open and see water pulling around my ankles and lapping my shins. There's so much of it. Yes, and there more comes each moment we delay. If we do not make good our escape, we should all drown in this castle. We know you are weak, but you are our only hope to survive this place. Time that long-forgotten friend made itself known again, I nodded my head and swore to save my rescuers, no matter the cost. The castle catacombs are a maze, twisting upon themselves like an endless entrails of a giant. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed north. Oh, it's it is a prompt. Proceed north. At the end of the corridor, I find a row of 20 gorgeous canopied beds resting atop a carpet of velvet. All are covered in a thick layer of dust and cobwebs. Searching for the door to the next room, I come upon a shapeless mass of gray matter. It has been shoved against the side of the wall, and despite my fever, I think I see outlines of a door just beyond. When I reach out a finger and touch a piece of the mass, it turns to dust and drifts away in the wind. Realization slowly dawns, and I fall to my knees and weep. Corpses. I face a mountain of charred and crumbling corpses. I look from it to the beds and back again until the horror dawns fully upon me. Someone has piled these bodies into a tower and set them ablaze. Whether they were alive or dead, I do not know. Insanity will not permit me to consider the proposition further. I make a sound, whether a scream or laughter, I cannot be certain, and my mind grants me merciful blackness, and I find myself opening the door and leaving that most terrible of rooms. I squint upon the dim corridors and proceed east. I squint down the dim corridors and proceed. So I went north, and then east. If I go west, I'm cutting back to the area. If I go north, squint down the dim corridors and go east, west, east. At the end of the path, I find myself in a great hall, only with the sounds of rain for comfort. The waterlogged red carpet squishes beneath my feet as I approach the center of the room. Once there, I behold a beautiful dining table upon which rests china and silver of the finest construction, as well as the remains of a fantastic feast. As my eyes continue to adjust, I see many chairs surrounding the table, each holding a dinner guest. Noticing movement, I approach the chair at the table's head, but as the truth of the matter dawns on me, I recoil in horror. The host of the feast is a corpse, as are all the invited guests. An army of foul, wriggling insects have made homes in their remains, and this is the movement I saw. The once splendid feast was now nothing more than a requiem for the damned. I take a moment to steady my shaking hands, then slowly back away from the table. Desperate to lose sight of the abomination before me, my gaze lands on the chairs upon which the dead were seated. This is a mistake, for the chairs prove to be even more terrible than the feast itself. Each one is covered in a layer of spikes that run from the seat, up the back, and down the arms. This explains the color of the carpet beneath my feet. I can only pray that the unfortunate diners were dead when the meal began. Or if not, it is a simple task to envision the agonized screams that must have sprung forth from their mouths. My mind gasped frantically at the possibility that these souls had committed some terrible crime for which this was punishment, though in truth I suspect they had committed no crimes at all. There would be no tomorrow for these unfortunates. This was their last supper. I squint down the corridors. Oh lord. North, east, west, east, so north. Against all hope, we make it to the front door. Break it down, someone cries, and so I give myself to the effort. In tandem with Nier and Grimoire Vice, I slam my body against the thick, sturdy door. On the third try, it gives way, and we find ourselves sprawled on the ground outside the castle. The storm is in retreat, the clouds above are still dark and foreboding, but to the west I can see a thin shimmer of sunlight trying to break through. How can I thank you? I cry as tears of joy join the rain on my cheeks. I would surely have died in there. Looking down, I suddenly notice that my dress is in tatters and sheepishly try to cover my exposed skin. Your dress? Asked Vice. And you are a woman, madam? I am. I proffered the two a smile. I suppose that comes as something of a surprise, seeing how I only exist in the form of words. I can see that the one known as Nier is disappointed that the torn dress will be given no further description, but he hides it well. With a nod and a shrug, the three of us set forth to our awakening. But behind us, an awakening of another kind is taking place. Black smoke fills the castle, providing the countless damned souls inside with their final shroud. After a moment, the castle's windows shatter with a mighty roar. A fresh breeze blows through the hallways and corridors, clearing the smoke away for good. as we watch in awe uncannibal black shadows slowly flicker to life, crossing to and fro in front of the broken windows. The castle's dead have awakened in their new form, a new life, as shades.
You have anything to say about that?
Hopefully there will be no labyrinth next time.
I hear that. Okay, there. Now all the villagers can wake up, right?
Yes, if the mayor's assumption was correct. I think I have had enough wordplay to last a lifetime. Thank you very much.
Two.
You're telling me. Anyway, let's go see the mayor.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you so much. Here, I have something for you.
Faith.
Wow, this looks valuable. I can really have it?
Of course. It's apparently a weapon of some renown, but we have little use for it.
Well, we appreciate it.
Thank you again for everything.
Well, let's see if that was worth it. Not looking too good. Oh, I'm gonna use it just for the look alone. There was once a famous poet in the land far, far east. Now in his twilight years, his ability had withered such that he could no longer craft a single stanza or verse. The poor poet spent every moment racked with sorrow for what had been lost, but one day a monk appeared by his side, gently placed a blade in his hand, and imparted the following words. Sick. Alright, let's save.